Hi everybody, I'm Diane from Beachfront Baby and I'm here to introduce you to our carriers today. If you've never heard of Beachfront Baby, I'll just let you know a little bit about our brand. We were founded in South Texas, which if you don't live here, it's very, very hot during the summer. All of our carriers are made to be lightweight, out of the water, but also something that makes them special is that they are water friendly. So you can wear all of our carriers in the water, which is great if you are headed to the beach, to the water park, to the river, or you just want to take a shower with your baby. So that's what makes our carriers special. I'm going to show you the different styles that we have available, and I'm going to go through how to use each one, and I'll explain a little bit about safe baby wearing practices in and out of the water. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to show you is our everyday wrap. So wraps are a long piece of fabric that you put on and tie, and that is what holds your baby in place. So here is our one size wrap. It looks like a lot of fabric, but I promise you it's not once you put it on, and it's gonna go on super easy. So there's a couple of different ways that you can use wraps, but I'm gonna show you one of the most simple carries and the one that comes in our instruction booklet. It's called the pocket wrap cross carry. So basically we're gonna make a pocket on our chest for the baby to sit in, and then we're gonna put the baby in. So I'm gonna start by finding the middle marker. All of our carriers have a tag in the center. Makes it really easy to be able to find the center of your wrap. So you're gonna hold that up against your chest, and we're gonna tuck it underneath our arms. And then I'm gonna reach over here and I'm gonna grab one side and make sure that I have the top of the wrap. This is gonna ensure that I don't have it twisted when it comes around behind me. All right, and then I'm gonna sort of reach around and bring it up and over my opposite shoulder. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna grab the fabric, stretch it out, and then I'm gonna reach up and over my head and bring it up and over my opposite shoulder. So now you can see I have an X on my back. All right, so here's the pocket where the baby's gonna sit. I'm gonna take these straps and I'm gonna tuck them into that pocket. All right, so they're both in there. I'm gonna make sure before I go any further that I don't have any twists in this fabric, because that's going to make it really uncomfortable for me and baby. Then I'm gonna pull down. This is kind of a stretchy fabric, so you can pull a little bit tighter than you can in, say, our mesh carriers. And I'm gonna cross and make an X, and that's gonna go right about at my navel, maybe a little bit above. And this is where the baby's gonna sit. I'm gonna bring those passes of fabric behind me, and I'm just going to tie them in a knot. All right, so now the carrier is on and I'm ready for baby. I'm gonna open up the X that I made on my chest, because this is where baby's gonna go. All right, so baby's gonna sit up high on your shoulder like you're burping him, and then you're gonna start with one side of that X, and you're gonna pop baby's leg through there. Okay, then I'm gonna sort of scooch him down and over, and I'm gonna find that other pass and put the other leg through. All right, so now baby's seated in there. I'm gonna start with the pass that's on the bottom. You can see this one was crossed underneath this one. So we're gonna spread this out across baby's back and bottom, and we wanna go from knee to knee. So that ensures that baby's gonna be seated in the carrier rather than dangling, okay? And then I'm gonna take this other pass of fabric, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Cross baby's back and bottom, knee to knee. So baby is seated in there. You want baby's bottom to be lower than his knees. Now my baby doesn't really have knees, so you can just picture if these legs bent right there. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, we're almost done. I'm gonna lift baby just a little bit. I'm gonna feel for that tag in that center panel right there. There it is. Then I'm gonna tuck baby's legs through. All right, and then I'm gonna find that tag, and I'm gonna pull the tag all the way up to the back of baby's neck, and it's gonna spread out over baby's back and bottom, and this creates a really secure seat with 3 passes of fabric. So here's one of the very important rules of baby wearing in or out of the water. You want baby to be high and visible and close enough to kiss. So if you can lean down and give your baby's head a kiss, you can look down and see whether baby's breathing. That's the number one thing. You don't want baby's chin on their chest. So if they're nice and snug up against you, chest to chest or heart to heart, then they can't slump into a position that could put their chin on their chest and cause breathing problems. The other thing that you want to make sure is that baby's face is not covered by fabric. So sometimes they do like to kind of throw their little heads forward and in there. All you have to do is sort of tuck it underneath their face if that's the direction that they want to go, or try to pop their head backward a little bit. If baby falls asleep, you can use the passive fabric behind their head to tuck them in nice and snug so that their head doesn't bobble, because when babies are young, we know that they have little bobbly heads. So always make sure that their face is visible. That's important so that you know that they're breathing, number one. Number two, when you're in the water, when the water is splashing, you want to make sure that not too much is being ingested by your baby, right? You don't want them to drink too much of the water. You don't want them to be inhaling it. So as long as you can look down and see, you can also see how they're reacting to the water that you're in. If the water's too cold for the baby, which we know that young babies have trouble regulating their body temperature, their lips are going to start to turn blue. Maybe their little, not teeth, but their little jaws will start to chatter if they're cold. That's a good indication that you need to get out of the water, warm baby up. If the water's just uncomfortable for them in any way, then they're going to let you know. They're going to make faces. They're going to grumble about it. So it's really important that you have baby in a tummy to tummy, heart to heart position so that you can see their face and so that they're high and close enough to kiss. All right, so if these sides here bother you, you can always pull them down and tuck them up on your shoulders. You don't have to stay down. But what I love about wraps is how it distributes the weight evenly across your back and shoulders. And so you don't have any pressure points like you can in carriers with narrow shoulders. So it's really comfortable for me. It's really comfortable for baby. Taking them out, very simple. We're just going to reverse the steps. We're going to pull down the center panel, and then we're going to open up the X that baby is sitting in. And always keep one hand on baby at all times. And I'm going to grab him underneath his arms, and I'm just going to kind of shimmy him out. And the baby's out. The great thing about wraps too is that you can leave this on if you don't want to fumble around in the parking lot or at the beach or wherever you're going. You don't even have to take your wrap off. You can put it on at home. If the knot in the back bothers you, you can also bring it around, tie it in the front, or tie it off to the side. That way you just leave it on, wear it like a shirt. You get to your destination, take baby out of the car seat, pop them in. You don't have to do any of the tying while you're standing there, sweating in the parking lot or wherever. All right, so baby goes down. I'm gonna show you one other super great way to wear a wrap when your baby falls asleep. So I don't know about you guys, but when my babies would fall asleep, if I tried to lay them down, they would wake up. And it was just a back and forth thing. I'd pick them up and we'd nurse and we'd rock and do all the things. And then I'd try to lay them down and then they'd wake up. So this is a really great option on how to put your wrap on if you know baby's gonna wake up and you really want them to have a nap. And that's totally fine. Baby napping on you counts as a nap. All right, so we're gonna pretend that my baby has just fallen asleep on me and I don't wanna wake him up. So what I'm gonna do is make sure he's in that position that I want him in the wrap, right? So he's kind of, legs are around me, little butt's right in the center. And then I'm gonna grab my wrap and find my center tag again. And now this is just the tricky part because, moms are really good at doing things one-handed. So you kind of have to work one-handed because you always want one hand on the baby while you're doing this. So I'm gonna put that tag right up there at the back of baby's neck. And then I'm gonna scooch my hand under there, make sure that I have the wrap around both of us. All right, so one hand on baby, hold this side out again, and then we're gonna go up and over. over. All right, then I'm gonna pull down nice and snug. And then I'm gonna hold that there while I do the same thing on the other side. And baby starts to wake up, you just kind of, you know, rock them. All right, this one's gonna go up and over. And then I'm gonna pull it nice and snug. Okay, so when you get to this point, you can do a couple of different things with your passes. I'm gonna make sure that my baby's legs are out of the bottom here, because that's gonna be easier to show you where you want these straps to end up to make sure baby is secure. All right, so pull them nice and snug. And then we're gonna cross them under baby and put them under his legs before we bring the passes around and tie in the back. And at this point, you can see my baby is nice and snug against me, so I can release that front hand and just tie in the back. So this point, you wanna make sure the baby is in there nice and snug, so you can spread these passes out on the outside. And then baby's asleep, so we wanna tuck the head in. And then you can pull these up and out of the way. Now I'm ready to do whatever mom needs to do while baby naps. I can do dishes, vacuum, or sit down and watch Netflix, because really that's what we wanna do, right? Browse Facebook. So you've got your hands free. That's one of the great benefits of baby wearing, is it does give you your hands back. We all need to be able to do other things. Babies don't always get that because they want to be held, but that's normal. The fourth trimester is the time, the 3 months after your baby's born, when their brain is not fully developed, and they really need that closeness. It helps them to acclimate to the life in the outside world. It helps them to hear your voice, hear your heartbeat, all of the feel your movements, all of those things that happened while they were in the womb. So it's baby wearing is just a really important and really great tool to help your baby transition to outside life. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. I actually have 4 kids of my own, and my oldest is 20 now. My youngest is 11. But I did a lot of baby wearing in my day, and now I like to wear other people's babies. But that was pre-COVID, right? Okay, so I'm gonna set baby down, and then I'm gonna move on to the next style of carrier. I hope you guys like this one. This is called the Everyday Wrap. It's available in 3 colors, and this fabric is made from recycled water bottles. It's made from Reprieve. I'm gonna try to give you a close-up view of it there so you can kind of see through it. It's a great stretchy fabric, which is why I love it so much for newborns. And it's really lightweight, moisture wicking, and it has a UPF factor of 15, meaning you don't have to put sunscreen on your baby when they're wrapped up, because it's going to protect them from the sun. Of course, also in the Texas sun, you don't want to be out in the middle of the day, so take all the precautions that you would normally take to keep yourself cool. All right, so that's the Everyday Wrap. I'm going to show you our Luxe ring sling. This is the newest addition to our line. So a ring sling is different from a wrap in that it has rings. Look at that. So a ring sling is a piece of fabric that has the rings sewn on one end, right? So ours is sewn in a gathered shoulder way. We find that this works best for most people's body build, and it spreads out the fabric evenly, makes it comfortable for you. Our Luxe ring sling has a pocket on the tail, which is a really great addition that you can tuck your keys, your cell phone, your wallet, an extra diaper or 2 into, so that you don't have to carry anything extra while you have your baby in the sling. All right, so I'm gonna show you the way of putting the sling on to thread it. So on one side of your sling, on the inside, we have our safety label and our care and content tag. That's the part that's going to be against your body. So I'm gonna hold it, let's see here, we'll go this way. I want my sling to be worn on my right shoulder because I am right-handed. And you'll see why this works best, because baby usually ends up kind of on your left side. So I'm gonna hold the rings in one hand, and I'm gonna hold the top edge of the sling in the other hand. I'm gonna swing it around behind me. All right, and then the rings are gonna come over the shoulder. So now I'm gonna tuck this part under my other opposite arm, and I'm gathering up the fabric. You can kind of drape the rings over so you can see what you're doing. You wanna kind of accordion fold the end of the sling, and then you wanna tuck it through both of your rings, and then you wanna open them up and then tuck the fabric down through the bottom ring. All right, and then we're going to spread this fabric out, make sure that it is not twisted before I pull it tight, and get it all situated to put baby in. So for this, for the sling, you want it to be fairly snug, but you need some room to put baby in. So what I like to do is measure with my arm. If you just stick your elbow and your arm in, and I've already got mine pretty well snug, it gives you a good idea of how much space you need for baby. If you need less space, you can always tighten it. All right, so I'm gonna start with my rings up high and kind of over the back of my shoulder. As we tighten, once I put baby in, the rings are gonna come down. So if you start them in the position that you want them in, which is called corsage position, it's this area right here below your shoulder, right at your armpit. If you put the rings there to start with, and then you pull and tighten, they're going to slide down, and you're gonna end up with them across your breasts or in the middle of you and baby, and that's not where you want them for comfort. Okay, so rings are up high on my shoulder. I've got a pocket made for baby, and now let's get my baby. All right, so baby goes up on the shoulder opposite the rings, just like you're burping him. I'm going to put baby's legs through the entire piece of fabric for the sling. And then I'm gonna tuck it under baby's butt, and I'm gonna seat baby just like I wanna see him seated once he's completely in the sling. So this shows you, if this fabric is behind the backs of his knees, his butt's gonna hang down over it. That's the position that you want him in. You want the bottom, his butt, lower than his knees, okay? So then I'm gonna reach between us here, and I'm gonna find, I'm gonna find the edge of fabric that's gonna go up and over the back. There we go. And again, one hand on baby at all times while we do this. So I'm gonna pull it up to the back of baby's neck. The rest of the fabric I am going to feed between us and tuck up there really good so that baby's got a nice deep seat. Then you see how I have all this slack right here? I'm gonna tighten. If I find the top edge, or the edge of the sling tail that's closest to my body, that corresponds with this top edge of the sling. So I'm gonna lift baby, and I'm gonna pull down, and that is tightening as I pull through the rings. If it gets caught up, then that means that your fabric is a little bit twisted, so you'll wanna do some checking there. So if I grab the center of the sling tail right here, lift baby and pull down, that's gonna tighten across baby's body and back. And then for underneath baby's legs and across the knees, that corresponds to the outer edge of your tail. So you always lift baby to unlock the fabric from the rings, and then you pull down to tighten. All right, so this is still a little bit loose right here, so I'm gonna feed it up and through there. All right, so this gives baby a little bit of head support. Again, I can always look down and see baby's face, so even though you can't from this angle, if you look down, you can see baby's face is good, so we got a little bit of head support. I can pull that down if needed. I'm gonna reach around behind me and make sure that this is spread out across my back comfortably, and it's across my shoulders. My rings are in the corsage position where I wanted them to end up. With your tail, you can do a couple of different things. If you don't wanna just let it hang down, you can use it for head support for baby. So you just twist it, and you get it up here, and you get that extra fabric that you have, and you'll just kind of tuck it and make a little bit of support for baby, and then you can tuck the extra in next to you. As long as baby's face is not covered by any of this fabric, then you can kind of do whatever you want with your tail. All right, so the tail comes out. We can also wrap it around the rings here, but again, we gotta make sure that we don't have baby's face hidden by any of the fabric. Now, if you have something in the pocket of your sling, you're not gonna wanna do any of these things. You're just gonna wanna let it hang down. But this sort of gets it out of the way if you don't. and then you have a shorter tail. Baby's in there. So this fabric, I'm gonna get you a close-up of this one so you can see how it's different from the Everyday. Again, this is our Luxe sling. Let's see. So this is a really shimmery and lightweight fabric, and you can see my fingers through there, so you can see how light it is. This has a UPF rating for the white of 15, like our Everyday line. We have 3 other colors. We have the red, which is our hibiscus. We have the black, which is our obsidian. And we have the teal, which is our lagoon. The white is called pearl. Each color has a different UPF rating, so it protects a little bit more from the sun the darker you get. So the obsidian, the black, has a 25 UPF rating, and the red and the teal have a 20. So the white has the lowest, but you still get sun protection, which is really, really great. And of course, white is a light color, so it's great to keep you cool. Anyway, so that's our Luxe. To take baby out of the sling, you want to lift up on the bottom, grab this bottom ring right here, and just lift, and it unlocks the fabric and pulls it up. And I'm gonna loosen it from around baby, grab him under the arms, and pop him out. So super easy. Ring slings can be a little intimidating because it is just one layer of fabric that you're holding baby in with. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to give it a try. They are really comfortable, and they're a great option for the heat because it's just one layer of fabric. So give it a try, see if you like it. Okay. All right, so our last carrier that I'm gonna show you is our most versatile. It's also made from the Everyday fabric that I showed you from the blue wrap. This is called our buckle Mei Tai. So this carrier is kind of our hybrid carrier. It has a buckle waist. It has a body panel of fabric that holds baby in place. There's a little attached hood. And then it has these great wrap style straps to finish it all off. So it's super, super comfy like a wrap, but it's a little bit easier to put on, and it's a lot less fabric. And also there's no padding in our carriers because we did want them to be able to be worn in the water. You didn't want extra padding getting wet and holding you down. So we went with no padding in this carrier, but it's super, super comfy. The waist belt here, this is webbing. It goes through the entire waist to give you some support. So I'm gonna show you how to put this on. I'll show you how to put it on your front first, and then I'll show you how you can wear your toddler on your back. So I'm going to show you first, when you have an itty bitty baby, this body panel may be too long or too tall for your baby. So when you put baby in there, you want, just like in the wrap and the sling, you want to be able to have baby's head above the fabric. So my baby, I'm going to show you, because it's a small baby, so it'd be, it weighs 8 pounds, but it's kind of a bigger, odd size. So I'm going to show you how to put your newborn in this carrier. So you're going to start with the tags on this panel facing out, and you're going to hold the waist belt. You're going to fold it down one time towards you, and then you're going to do that twice more. So that's 2, and that's 3. If you only do it 2 times, you'll know, because when you try to buckle your waist belt, it'll be upside down. Okay, so I'm going to put it against my ribs a little bit higher than my belly button, and I'm going to buckle it. You can pull on each of these adjustable webbing here to tighten it in the center, and sometimes the little covers for your for the webbing get in the way, so just pull them out of the way, and then you can tighten it more. All right, so baby's gonna go up here. That's gonna ensure that he's high and close enough to kiss. All right, so I got my baby, and I'm gonna spread his legs, and I'm gonna gather up the body panel and put it right between his legs. All right, and then as I pull up on the body panel, he is settling down into it, and that's what you want. You want their weight to really create a nice deep seat for them. So always one hand on the baby. I am going to put my shoulder straps over each side here. Make sure that they're spread out and not twisted. Then I'm gonna reach behind me and grab each panel. And this whole time I've got my hand on baby, right? So now, once I've got my hand on these panels and I'm pulling them down nice and tight, I can take that hand away and put it on the other strap. And I'm gonna cross them behind me and bring them up and around. And we wanna go over baby's legs, cross, and then come under baby's legs and come to the back, and then I'm gonna tie in a knot again. All right, so from here, we can spread out these passes if we want. If you're pressed for time, you don't have to. But I'm gonna spread them out a little bit. Sometimes you think it might be more comfortable for baby. You can also tell when you spread them out if you've tied it a little too snug, and then you can go back here and loosen the knot and just sort of kind of loosen from the knot up and get it a little more comfy for you and baby. All right, so then we have the attached hood. So this is great for if baby falls asleep and you want to give them a little more head support. You just take this and always, again, go with the side that's on the back of baby's head. You don't want to fully cover their face. I'm gonna reach around behind me here and pop this through the little tie holder. That gives baby some head support. All right, and then I'm gonna take that out. You can also, if you're not using the hood, you can roll it all like this behind baby's head and give them a little head support that way. All right, so always make sure your straps are spread out behind you, give you some comfort. This is real important for water safety, because again, you can wear all of our carriers in the water. This carrier can also be worn on your back with an older baby who has good head and neck control and can sit up on their own. So with that said, I will say we do not recommend wearing your baby on your back in the water. Again, because the most important rule in baby wearing is that your baby's face is visible. And in the water, that just becomes more important because splashing water can be hitting your baby in the face and you don't recognize how much they're ingesting. So you gotta be really careful about that. Another super important rule for baby wearing in the water is do not ever wear your baby when you are on a boat, on any kind of a floaty, where if you're not in a swimming pool that's pretty shallow where you can see the bottom, if you were to fall out of any of these things, you would have to tread water if you can't reach the bottom. When you're treading water, you can maybe keep your head out of the water, but baby's is not out of the water. So you want to make sure that you do not ever baby wear in any of those situations where your feet are not able to firmly touch the bottom of whatever you're in, whatever body of water. Please don't go in any fast moving water, anything with a slippery bottom, where you can't see the bottom, it might drop off, you don't know. So if you're wearing baby, we recommend no higher wading than up to about the back of baby's diaper. That just makes sure that if you were to kind of slip and lose your balance, baby's not going to be submerged. So just a lot of little rules, but it's just to make sure that you keep these things in mind. There's a lot of baby wearing rules, but most of them are just to make sure that baby is safe and you're both comfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna take baby out of this carrier by just untying. Once I have it untied, again, one hand on baby at all times. Everything just kind of comes undone, and then I'm gonna set baby down. All right, so I'm gonna take it off, and then I'm gonna show you how to put baby on your back. But remember, my baby is small. My baby doll is not the size that your average baby would be when they can sit up and when it's appropriate for back carries. So just keep that in mind, that once I get my baby on my back, you probably won't be able to see his head peeking out. That's not okay. So when you put your baby on your back, you will be able to see their head peeking up. All right, so again, I have my carrier with the safety tags facing out. I'm gonna roll it down one time at the waist. I'm gonna put it on my side hip here and buckle it. And then I'm gonna spin it all the way to my back so that the panel is completely centered in my back. And I'm gonna tighten it because now it's at my waist, not at my ribs. So hopefully my waist is a little bit smaller than my ribs, but okay. Get that all situated nice and snug. All right, there's a couple of different ways to get baby on your back here. I tend to like the hip scoot. So that means you set baby on your hip just like you normally would when you're holding them, carrying them. Then you keep your front hand on baby's bottom, take your back arm, bring it up and over as you lean forward, and then you're gonna hop, and babies love this too. They love that little hop. Hop until they're on your back. Make sure that when you do this, you are doing it over a soft surface, like your couch or your bed, or you have a spotter, because sometimes babies don't cooperate and you gotta make sure that you've got an extra set of hands. Okay, then I'm going to grab the panel and we're gonna flip up and over baby. And now once I have these panels up, I'm gonna do a little check here and see. I think my baby is crooked in there because this leg looks like it's out a little bit less than the other side. So I'm gonna do a little shifting, make sure my baby's in there good. All right. And then I'm gonna stand up. Once you're standing up, you can pull down nice and tight on these shoulder panels. Do not be afraid. This fabric is a little stretchy. Actually, it's a lot stretchy. So do not be afraid to pull down nice and snug because every time you pull and hop, baby's settling in there a little bit more. And that's what we want. We want baby in there nice and deep so that you can tie snug these straps without having to retie later. All right, so I'm gonna backpack these straps. I'm just gonna tuck them under my arms and then I'm gonna bring them over, again, over baby's legs and then cross under the butt and then bring them under baby's legs and back around the front. From here, I can just tie it off at my waist or I can do a fancy finish where you can tuck into the shoulder straps and do a chest belt, tie it there. It just depends on how much fabric you have. Also, see, I have a lot of extra straps here, so I'm gonna tie this in a nice little bow at my waist. All right, so let's do a check. You can't see my baby's head, but we know he's in there. He's safe. Your baby will be above the fabric because your baby will be bigger than mine. But this is a great carrier for if you are hiking, or let's say that your baby is just not super happy on your front anymore. They want to see around a little bit more. The back carry usually helps with that because they can pop their little head out and look around. When your baby gets kind of grabby, the ring sling or the front carry doesn't work anymore. If you want to do dishes or cook or anything like that, you need to have your hands free. So the back carry is great for that. This carrier is, like I said, our most versatile. So it holds babies from 8 to 40 pounds. Most kids, when they get to 40 pounds, aren't being worn as much anymore, but just so that you know it is an option. And this one comes in our 3 everyday colors. So we have the gray, which is our boardwalk gray, the blue, which is our marina blue, and then I don't see my lavender mist, but we have a very pretty lavender color also. So those are your options for Beachfront Baby. We do have our mesh line, and I'll just show you real quick so that you can see. These carriers come in wraps and ring slings, and they're normally available on Amazon and Etsy, but we have actually sold out for the season. And so if you are interested in these, check out our retailer Little Zen one. She's out of Canada, but she does sell here in the US, and the shipping's not any higher. So if you're looking for a mesh sling, that's where you can find them. And they come in 14 colors, although like I said, everything's pretty low for the season, so there's lots of options in that line. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that I answered some of your questions about baby wearing and about Beachfront Baby. If you do have any questions, feel free to join our Facebook page or follow us on Instagram. We also have a Facebook group that's called Beachfront Cabana Chat. It's just a great place to come in and chat with other parents, and if you have any questions about the different styles of carriers, you can always get lots of opinions there. That's it. If you've got any questions, feel free to always reach out. We're available all the time. All right, you guys, take care.